My name is Kumar Varun. I'm the product manager for OCI Logging Analytics. Here's a quick agenda for today. For the uninitiated, I'll go through a quick overview of observability and management services, give an introduction of logging analytics. That will be super quick. And the big question that people have been asking is around what logs do I have from Fusion apps? So I'll briefly cover that. And then we'll go into key Fusion apps and OIC use cases, what we offer from logging analytics for audit, for security, for compliance, and for performance monitoring, and a real life example of ERP OIC workflow. And we'll go into a live demo after that. Please feel free to ask your questions in the Q&A. And at the end of the session, I'll also try to answer those questions live if time permits. All right. Diving in, observability and management suite of services consist of a suite of different cloud-based offerings that are available on OCI, and they are meant to provide a single pane of glass view for performance monitoring, for optimization, for troubleshooting, etc., of your entire IT estate. And what that means is your applications can be on OCI, on third-party cloud, on premises. You're able to collect all sort of telemetry data easily using management agent and multiple other methods which are available. So telemetry as in metrics, events, logs, traces, SQLs. And then we provide these advanced set of services, logging analytics being one of them, like APM, stack monitoring, DB management, etc., which provide AI ML based insight quickly to the end user so that they can make sense out of that data quickly and troubleshoot and analyze the root causes for an issue. All right, so let's step back on when we talk about an IT environment, and from the previous slide we looked at multi-cloud and on-premises infrastructure as well as application. When we talk about an IT environment, it's presented something like this. You have OIC, you have Fusion apps, there can be IAM, Oracle databases, Apex network, and probably there are dozens of other components missing. And it looks extremely clean, and this is how they're talking to each other. But in reality, what we have is something like this, where all these different components are talking to various other components simultaneously. And that's what makes your business unique. When you have a business flow, let it be an invoice generation or an payroll application or something else, it's the business flow which talks to multiple applications at the same time and executes that particular transaction. Right now, we have been providing observability for different components. For example, Oracle database, Exadata, OIC, Fusion apps. And today, what we are going to focus more on how to look at all of this in a consolidated way so that you can get a view of the business from a business perspective. So, talking specifically about log, and many of you may have seen this slide already in my other sessions. Logs pose a very unique problem in the sense that they are extremely rich of data or information that they contain, but they are unstructured and they increase in volume very quickly. Now, because of the unstructured nature of this, they're complex and difficult to search, which makes it labor intensive. And what you want to do is finally connect it with other automation frameworks, for example, functions or your ticketing system or your messaging system, etc., so that you can take actions quickly. You can automate those actions. And finally, management of cost is at the top of it. Now, logging analytics helps solve all of these problems for both the folks who have ability to ingest data easily, like the admins, the application admins or the system admins or the cloud admins, as well as the end users who know what that application log or application data is. Now, logging analytics is a cloud-based service for all practical purposes. It's a fully managed SaaS service for you. It's available in all the tenancies. And this is a busy slide, so bear with me. On the right hand side, what I'm showing is we have a lot of out of the box knowledge content available. So for unstructured data like logs, we have more than 250 parsers as well as 1500 plus problem labels already defined. Problem labels are the signatures we have already identified, which indicate a certain problem or a certain, you can easily get started. Now your, as I mentioned, infrastructure or application can be anywhere. It doesn't matter, platform agnostic. So if it's on OCI, it's super seamless. Management agent, which is used for collection, and the primary method of collection, log collection, is pre-installed and just needs to be enabled on your OCI compute. Then finally comes the part of, and how do you make sense out of it? How do you analyze that? For that, we provide a highly sophisticated query language, from simple statistic calculation from extraction of values to advanced analytics, such as correlation across multiple types of logs or doing statistical analysis. And that we are not exposing as, or let me put it this way, that the learning curve for that query language is reduced by as we provide a BI tool like interface for you for log exploration. And a number of out of the box dashboards are available in the product, as well as contributed by subject matter experts on GitHub. And if you have new dashboards, if you're building one, you can also contribute to those on our GitHub pages. Now, these advanced analytics are based upon our patented techniques that we have worked with experts, or that we have created by working with the experts within these domains in Oracle and outside. And these include like clustering, time series analysis, transaction sequencing. Essentially, our goal here is to make it extremely easy for the end users, for the subject matter experts, for the technologist at your company to make sense out of it and take action quickly. The out of the box dashboards that I mentioned can be duplicated, and they are a starting point. And you can visualize all type of telemetry data in a single dashboard. Drilling deeper, we look at logging analytics or log analysis in two different ways. Folks who have the access or the ability to start ingesting data, we want to make it easy for them to create that ingestion pipeline. And to that end, we have knowledge content built in terms of discovery on the management agent itself, that when you, for example, when you point it to a database system, it knows which files to collect, where the files are, which DB tables, etc. are there. And then once the data starts coming in through this reliable pipeline using management agent, we want to make it easier to get insight out of it. Now, there are multiple methods, and the recommended way from Oracle side is that, because every application, every environment is unique, start with Log Explorer for troubleshooting, for analysis, for creating initial visualization of your log data. And because of the BI tool like nature, you can drag and drop different fields which were extracted, create statistics, create visualizations easily. Also invoke those curated ML AI based techniques for analysis. And I'll show that in the demo later on. Once that's there, you would like to visualize those in a dashboard to continuously monitor. There are out of the box dashboards to get you started. And after those dashboards become mature, that you know those dashboards, the data being shown on the dashboards is meaningful and that's what you want to act and automate so that the process of troubleshooting and root cause analysis is repeatable and scalable. For that, we are integrated tightly with the monitoring and the alert alarm service in OCI, and you can continue to use the same alarm and alerting service that you have been using for other service with other services as is. All right. Now, I briefly mentioned about management agent, but this is talking about how we are ingesting logs into how we are ingesting logs and how they get processed. So there are multiple different methods available. Management agent, as I've been talking about, is the primary method. We recommend it's available on all OCI compute, and you can easily install that on your on-prem or third-party cloud compute instances. For OCI services, there is Service Connector. You can ingest log through streaming. We have Fluent D, Fluent Bit. There is you have OIC integration, which can be used to ingest logs from SaaS services or any other applications which are directly connected, for which connectors are available in OIC. You can use functions for ingesting data. An example of that will be IDCS logs, which are ingested using a function. Once those get in, we process and enrich that, and there is extensive enrichment available out of the box, excuse me, for all of these log sources. And as you analyze these logs, you can further enhance those enrichment when you find a certain signature. And why the enrichment is important here is because those are the problem labels or the fields that you extract. Those are the data points which are used for creating alerts and creating visualizations. And in a sense that if you find a signature which means that an unauthorized user access was not identified in a log, you can label that as unauthorized access. And then you can create an alert on top of that, which will be the ingest time alert that even before data is ingested into logging analytics will trigger an alert. And on the right hand side, we have Log Explorer, we have dashboards, reporting available, and automation. Right. Now, let's drill further down into what Fusion apps and OIC type workflow look like. So that previous example that I was showing, that complex reality of the environment, this is a real life example where an orchestrator, which is sitting somewhere or maybe on premises, triggers a uh, business workflow for generating a job. It uploads a file and it communicates through the CPE and the private or the IPsec network, triggers an integration, which further triggers the file upload and data transformation in ADP. It is uploaded to Fusion apps, UCM, also EPM, and then comes back to other applications. So this is a complex view in the sense that this diagram doesn't show that complexity, but you can see the component, and the failure may happen at different stages. And we'll talk about how you can use logging analytics to monitor such kind of complex flows. All right. So what type of logs are available? That has been asked multiple times, and people say, "Hey, it's a cloud service, it's a SaaS provider. So what do you mean by log?" And logs mean different things when we talk about SaaS services versus a fully owned and fully managed application like EBS or a WebLogic server. In case of SaaS, and especially for ERP, HCM type of SaaS SaaS applications, it's a joint responsibility between Oracle and the customer, where we want to make sure that your end users get the best experience. And what that means is there is certain capacity which is allocated, and there is a configuration that customers are doing to make sure that their jobs are running fine. The users are able to go through their, let's say, PIP reports, or the regular scheduled jobs are running fine. And when we talk about SaaS logs, that's what it means, that what is the current state of the union? What is happening? I have had customers who are running 800,000 plus jobs per month, and getting a sense of who is running what and which application and which users is the first step in our journey towards optimizing the performance of these applications. So getting or what types of logs are available depends upon the use case. It's driven by our business use cases. For audit and compliance type of use cases, if you have, there are ESS audit, ADF audit, MDS audit, and of course the HCM and ERP and other business object audit logs which are readily available. And we are able to continuously collect those into logging analytics, enrich those, and provide them in a meaningful way on out of the box dashboards. If for the use cases related to security and user access control, the first thing is the sign in, sign out logs, the user permission and the role status, which user have what permission and what roles, etc. are created. OPSS audit, which is the platform security service audit logs, which talks about credential changes, role assignments, delegation, etc. Those are relevant to security and user access control. And on the performance monitoring and optimization side, the key logs are ESS request logs and BIP job logs. And these can be automatically collected and continuously visualized and monitored in logging analytics. Right. Let's drill down next into what we offer for Fusion App Security and Audit. This is a area where we are collecting these logs at different frequency, if you like them to be. from 30 seconds to hourly to weekly, whatever your business process cycle is. But it's mainly for product owners, the app admins who want to know how do they keep track of roles and object changes in long term and what is happening to the system. So for complex environments, there are multiple ways the system configuration is changed, some through automated ways, some manually, and keeping a good handle on who is changing and what access is being given to which user or service accounts is critical for ensuring security and compliance. So something like credentials and grants, which users are logging in, where they are coming in from, are there any potential threat IPs from which users are getting logged in or trying to log in. There may not be any failures or there may not be any successful authentication, but if if you see users are trying to log in from a suspicious IP, that can be an indicator uh, for a security breach, probably, and failed and successful login events. You can have alerts on policy changes if there are role changes and object changes that happen. And I'll go through this in a detailed dashboard in my demo, but this is a blown up view of the security and audit based upon OPSS and access logs. This is an example screenshot for the security and audit user behavior where we're looking at which users are coming in, how many unique users were there, and we provide a geomap view of where they're coming in from, which is also enriched based upon which city, which country, etc. they're coming in from, along with the threat IP enrichment. Now, that was the security and compliance part of view. Now, from a business part, from a business perspective, HCM, for example, payroll and people object, top level objects, those are uh, governed by certain regulatory and certain regulatory organizations, and they are required to be audited on a regular basis. And there are multiple frameworks available, but we provide here that we are able to continuously collect those HCM and ERP audit. In this case, what we are showing here is uh, which objects were modified, whether they were modified by the users or whether they were modified by the admins, and what type of objects were modified. Was it the legislative information? Was it the name or phone number, nationality identifier? Somebody modified the visa status of a user, or was it verified, or when was it modified, and which admin related changes were there versus which type of end users are making those changes. It's a it's a continuous state or continuous monitoring of the state of these business objects as well as long-term tracking. This is useful when you see a certain admin user or a certain user who are or a particular type of users are making changes, let's say in the phone number or address. That's one thing. But if suddenly a change is made which is not expected, which is an anomaly in this case, that can also be identified. And in this case, you see there has been certain spike on these changes at this point of time. So typically these HCM or ERP related changes are regular in nature as per the business cycle, but they should reflect some sort of continuity and trend, which is known to the business. Coming next is the third use case where we talk about the performance analysis or performance monitoring and optimization. ESS is one of the key pillars along with the BIP, BI publisher jobs, which take up a lot of resources, and scheduling these jobs as well as identifying what ad hoc jobs are running, what execution time they have, and have they been degrading is critical to ensuring that you are continuously optimizing these job schedulers for best performance for our end users. On ESS, we provide along with the ESS audit, so that's on a different side. ESS audit, as I was talking earlier, that essentially is talking about what type of data is being accessed and what changes are being made to that data. In this case, we are not looking at the data, but we are looking at how many ESS jobs and which application, which user, and what the execution times have been for those. So, for example, you may have a consolidation job running every day, which must finish by 9 a.m. In the morning. And if there are ad hoc jobs with large data processing at the same time, that might affect that regular scheduled job, which is business critical. So are there jobs which are frequently updated, and who is updating and why? And in terms of performance, what the schedules have been. So if you, for example, if I take that 800,000 jobs per day, if they're not staggered properly during the time of the day or the day of the week, then of course you're going to see a uh, performance issue or execution time delays during those executions. Right. This is the latest example of the BIP and ESS jobs monitoring together, where we are looking at the trend of ESS and BIP jobs. We are able to find out, we are able to uh, pop that up to you on what the schedule has been, which users have been running, how many jobs at what point of time, and are those jobs being run regularly. There's a concept of nested jobs that we identify that are these standalone jobs or nested jobs, and how many level of nesting is there. Single, and you can think of this as a proxy for single threaded versus multiple threaded jobs. You can further drill down into analysis of these, where you can look at you can analyze these jobs based upon how much time do they take, which application they are running, and how many unique request is ESS request ID have been there in the system at a particular point of time. And we'll go through this in the demo later. All right. Now, all of this is connected through OIC, which is the key part, which is kind of a glue that sits in between, which talks to your third party applications, your Fusion apps, Oracle databases, your custom applications, and that's where your business flows live. And you may have uh, more than a dozen of OIC environments, which is which makes a fleet quite big in terms of managing the fleet itself. And then in each environment, you may have a test, dev, as well as production. So, and in each of those, you will have maybe hundreds of integration instances or projects which are running. Now, you can see how this can quickly get out of hand if you're not able to manage and visualize all of this uh, telemetry data in single pane of glass before, when a user comes in with an issue saying they're not able to access, or there are latency issues, or a certain business process failed. You want to know where exactly it failed so that it can be fixed quickly. So we provide multiple dashboards for OIC. This is for integration developers, where we are giving a high level overview of how many environments you are monitoring, what number of integrations. uh, this includes both logs as well as metric data in a single pane of glass view. This dashboard provides data from the service metrics, such as processing time or outbound request that has been triggered by these integration, as well as uh, the logs generated, the debug logs, as well as activity stream logs, which are generated by each integration run. Then once you have identified a specific project or an integration for analysis, next step that you would like to hear is uh, from OIC3 point of view, there is this concept of projects, and folks who are familiar with OIC2, there used to be a concept of integration insight, and that feature is now natively available in logging analytics. In case of OIC2, you will have to create a model as a console, attach those milestones, etc. We have removed all those manual steps. Once you start ingesting activity stream logs from OIC3, we automatically create this end-to-end view for at a transaction level, where you can drill down into what different steps in a chronological order that were taken by a specific transaction, and you can analyze this at a step level, as well as at the integration level, what the execution time of those have been. Here is an example of the time taken analysis that is available in at the lowest level. This is the third dashboard, and some of you may already been using this. This is readily available to analyze different instances as well as at the step level and the integration level, what the execution time has been, where we visually highlight the execution time differences or anomalous time in terms of each integration run as well as at the step level, and so that your dev team, or you can look at the infrastructure if it is a latency issue, calling an external service or something else, if there are more or a number of switch statements which are within your integration that might be taking time. Finally, we look at the OIC audit, where this has come up in a lot of customer discussions, where they want to look at who is making changes to integrations, what connections are being created, what type of service accounts are being used. And one of the interesting example that came recently was that because OIC integrations use service accounts, and those service accounts are creating on Fusion side. And if there is no common management across a which if credential rotation happens and if it doesn't reflect on one side or the other, you will suddenly start seeing failures in those integration runs. Now, this is not a super common scenario, but when it happens, it breaks down uh, the entire integration workflow, which is powering your business applications. All right. So at this point of time, I'll come back to the slides, but let me show the product directly. All right. So I'm on OCI console in my demo environment and going to observability and management, log explorer. And before I go to those dashboards, I wanted to walk you through the basics of logging analytics. Here in my demo environment, once you come to Log Explorer, this is the BI tool-like interface, what we call Log Explorer. You'll see the first view of current distribution of what type of logs are being collected. Here, I'm collecting 41 different types of logs from Exadata, from Kubernetes, from Linux, from Fusion, etc. And I can quickly change the time range to last 8 hours or whatever time range I want it to be. And as I was saying, you can keep the logs, retain the logs as long as you want in active storage, which is available for analysis, live analysis here. And for long-term optimization and audit and compliance use cases, you can move these logs automatically into archive, which can be readily pulled in a few minutes. On the left-hand side, we have the fields panel, where these are the different fields which are extracted from these logs. And one interesting thing here is the problem label. So these are the problem labels that I was talking about earlier. We have more than 1,500 problem labels predefined for these different type of signatures: action failed, or service started, connection error, client error. And the key part about these problem labels is that they are not particularly linked to a specific system which is modeled as an entity on logging analytics side, but they are generic in the sense that when you say action failed, that can happen in an integration as well as on your database, or on Fusion app side, or any other different type of log. So when a user comes in saying they are not able to log in, uh, there could be authentication error. So you want to drill down into that specific problem label to start with. And if you identify a new signature in that specific log, for example, I drill down into OCI audit log and change it to 15 minutes, let's say. Now you can expand one of these logs, and I'm just taking that as an example. And if you see that a certain signature, let's say this is specific, if this is identifying a certain event, then you can enrich that source directly from the UI to add new problem labels as well as extraction for the new fields. Once you are done with that, you can save it as a save search, which can be saved to a dashboard directly from this view. You can create a new dashboard here. Right. I can probably spend more than few hours just talking about this. There are lots of videos and blogs as well as live lab sprints which are available, which walk you through step by step. There are also on the right hand side Compass videos available, which you can use to side by side implementation as well as learning more about logging analytics. Okay, so from the top left, let's go to the dashboard. So here's the quick navigation menu which is available. And when I go to the dashboard listing page, you'll see a bunch of out of the box dashboard as well as your user created dashboard. And I have, let me start with the HCM business object that I was showing earlier. So this is a business specific dashboard where we are tracking the business object changes. In this case, I'm looking at three different Fusion apps instances, and there were 882 objects which were modified in the last, I'm picking up 60 weeks, a long time range, which users were making edit, how many edits were being made by the admins, how many admin users were there. So 882 changes, all of them were made by admins, and there are 52 admin users available who made these changes. What has been the trend of these different events that happened in this or changes, what their inserts, updates, or deletes. We provide detail of what the top users have been, top admin activity, as well as end user activity, which user records were changed. And you can use that as a starting point to create, just like I was showing in Explorer, we can punch out from here. And if you see, if you want to get alerted on, hey, visa information must not be changed by the end user. And if that is there, that means there is some configuration gap in your environment and you want to create an alert on top of that. That's an example of unauthorized change or unauthorized access. But from a business or a product owner point of view, that's a configuration change that needs to be done. You can go back to the HCM business object changes. Now, I should mention here that this replicates the CASB features that we had previously, which provided these alerting and alarming capabilities on top of ERP and HCM business uh, object changes. And for payroll and people objects, there are out of the box dashboards available as well as log sources available. So we know exactly which fields as well as objects to collect logs from and visualize those in these dashboards. Now, going to the user access or the security kind of use cases where you want to track how many users and where they're logging from, as well as number of successful and failed logins. So it gives you a high level overview of in the last whatever time range you select, how many failures and successful logins have been there, who are the top users who are logging into your system, and more importantly, where they're logging in from. Then drilling down further into the failure trends, where we are looking at which city are they, from which city are we seeing most failed logins, right? And what are the top users who are getting failed logins? Maybe there is a compromise somewhere, or there is a script which was already running, which is trying to log in with an older credentials that you want to start tracking. And in this case, finally, you want to analyze the user behavior, that if there has been a lot of failures in terms of login, are there anomalous activity uh, like certain successful logins or certain failed logins followed by a successful login? That's something you can track using this dashboard. And as always, you can punch out from this and modify this. You can combine this as well as your HCM business object widgets into your custom dashboard. And what you can do here is that top level dashboard can be your home dashboard, which all the users or different users who are coming into logging analytics can use as a starting point for all their analysis and monitoring. Now, the next dashboard that I would like to drill down into the OPSS audit analysis. Your this is critical for identifying what roles and permissions are created. Have there been any changes or assignment of these new roles? In this case, what you're seeing here is that we look at the trend of the OPSS event, how many users have been creating those OPSS event, and what cloud map of what those different events have been: role membership add or resource creation or permission creation. And you can visualize this in a different way. Here is one way to visualize this, where we are looking at event category and event distribution based upon those categories. You can also see what in a heat map, where we want to see that modify credentials was happening like this, while credential creation or role membership remove happened a lot. In this case, that this is a relative heat map, and you can modify this based upon these buckets can be modified in the Explorer in a customized way in whatever, depending upon the scale of your deployment. User activity trend can also be visualized. So one view is saying, hey, what the different events have been, and on the other side, you can side by side visualize what users have been most active in, which show up in the OPSS logs. This is an advanced analytics capabilities which capability based upon the link classify command that we have in logging analytics, where you can interactively look at the users, the audit events, and event categories. And these are just sample ones which are available. There can be more options or filters which are available, and you can simply click on those, and it will, uh, for example, here I can look at role management, and these are the role management event category events that happened in this environment. I can look at credential management also, where we're looking at, hey, this credential event, so something happened on the 27th of November. Here, that lot of credential management related stuff happened. Maybe the password reset across the system happened. That's what you want to track. That is this a system level? Is this a broad business level change that happened? Why are these all the users making uh, credential changes at this point of time suddenly, while they have been rare at other times? So the idea behind this is to give you a continuous uh, data feed and analysis view, so that you know your business best and you can visualize what is happening in that system from a business point of view, that is this expected or not. And once you know that this is the baseline, then you can move to the next step, where we are saying, from this baseline, if there is a deviation, I want to get alerted. And those can be done. For example, let me take this example here. So once, let's say this is, you're expecting, I'll take a very random example here, that you're not expecting more than 100 users to be making these OPSS changes, or you're not, or only uh, certain users should be there. You can create a detection rule right from here, which will trigger the alert if there is a change, if there is a change, and you can connect that using functions or any of your ticketing systems down the line, which will generate a notification and an alert for you. All right. Now the third one that I was uh, on the performance monitoring and optimization side. ESS job, as I was talking earlier, is one of the key pillars or key system which you want to continuously monitor on how many jobs are being run, what the status have been, are there any jobs which are continuously failing, and which applications and users are running those jobs. In this case, we have this BI publisher, CRM, ESS, all these different applications which are running, we which are being scheduled here, and you can further analyze those based upon the different job types, what the time taken for those are, what the products related to those jobs are, and the product family. So let's take the same example. And if I want to look at just the CRM related jobs, so these are the CRM related jobs which are running. And on each row, what you see is this coordinate file import artifact generation that takes around 4 minutes, 8 seconds at this time. Here, this is CRM job, the same CRM job, but takes very less time compared to the previous one. So over a period of time, if a job execution time has been degrading, you can use this visualization, you can use this interactive visualization for analyzing that degradation. Now, you can also view in detail what the average time taken. This is the baseline that I was talking about earlier, that once you have enough data for each job, for each application, for each type of execution, you can use that as a baseline and you can get alerted uh, based if that deviates by, let's say, 2 sigma or 2 standard deviation more than the average. Right. Next thing I wanted to show before I move on to, okay. Now, this is an example dashboard for the OIC Insight, which is the latest feature available in logging analytics, especially for OIC 3, where we are looking at uh, the integration executions at the transaction level. And OIC 3 identifies those transactions and provides linkage between the different steps as well as multiple integration as part of the project. And here we have automatically identified the milestones, working closely with the OIC team, what the different milestone, which are the action types available, what the trend of those have been. But most importantly, you can start looking at each and every transaction. So even though these look esoteric, cryptic strings, but what you can do here is you can narrow this down based upon a specific project name as well as for a specific tracking field. What that means is, let's say if this is a invoice flow and you have a tracking field for a specific order ID or a or a customer ID, then you can narrow that down to one specific transaction. So these filters are readily available on this dashboard to further narrow down and analyze a specific transaction. What's interesting here is not just the time of execution that you can analyze over time, but you can look at the chronological view of what happened during a specific transaction. So in this case, there were in the order process that I'm looking at, there are 2 integrations involved in this project, and there are 8 milestones. And this is a sequence of events that happened, that there was a create result variable assignment, switch branch, and so on and so forth. You can also visualize this in a tabular way to see what the sequence have been. Now, if there are hundreds of these transactions on the order process or thousands of those probably that happen, you can easily see if if certain instances are taking longer, and then also you can see if there have been a delay or more decision making that is happening within the integration that may require you to change the logic. So if a specific instance is taking, let's say, 8 steps here, while there are others which are taking 50. Like here is a good example. This one took 8, while the same order process is taking 33. So we want to look at what was the change. Was it because of the data itself, or uh, because of the logic that you have in the integration? And here we are noting the latest action also, so you know where it is currently. So this is live data, as I was saying earlier, but once it's finished, it should show that it's complete or not. It's and correlating that with the error hospital data in the other dashboard gives you a complete view of this end-to-end transaction level business process. Now, finally, on when we are looking at each of these transactions for the tracking fields, there are details available for the projects as well as the integration and the tracking field, and you can use this to search a specific transaction. In this case, it's order ID tracking field, and the name of that and the value of that tracking field is my second order. That's for demo purposes, but I can simply go to, and it will narrow down to specific one. So it's so easy for you to identify a specific transaction which failed, which the end users or your business flow owners might be reporting that they are stuck on or a process or an order failed, where did it fail, and which can be further correlated with, okay, you can go to this step, and that's where you know, is it because the external system like ATP, which was not able to process the file properly or transformation properly, or some other external system. And this is where we connect these dots by combining the dashboards that we were seeing on the ESS job, as well as from an integration side. You can correlate both of those in a single dashboard based upon your use case. So the use model for the dashboard is that you pick up the relevant widgets from one of these dashboards and make your own. And the way method for doing that is simply you duplicate one and create your own customizable dashboard.
Mar, we're at
Finally,
10 minutes to the hour. Just wanted to give you a heads up. We've had a very active Q&A, but there's a couple people are still have their hands up. So let me know when you're ready to do the Q&A.
right. Now, this is the BIP server reporting or BIP jobs reporting dashboard uh, that works in conjunction with the ESS dashboard, as well as the OIC uh, transaction level, as well as your fleet level dashboard, where you want to look at. And this BIP, as you know, uh, is key to or a critical component along with ESS, but for BIP, there are users who are running ad hoc jobs also. But it runs business critical uh, workflows, in the sense that sending emails for invoice processing or sending out uh, payroll related information on a regular basis. And those are the scheduled jobs which must finish, which are critical for ensuring that a business flow gets completed in time and is not affected by ad hoc jobs. And there are always users who will launch these jobs in an ad hoc way with large volume of data, which might affect the performance. And that's what it means by when I say it's a joint responsibility, that you first of all need to know what is happening in the system before we can fix it. And this provides a view of how many different requests. This is a ESS request, which we are getting along with the uh, BIP audit and BIP job related data. This is a combined view. Here we are looking at multi-threaded and single-threaded job, what the job trend has been, and these are the obfuscated user IDs. In this case, this is a real customer example data. So I've obfuscated those, and different these could be service accounts or the end user account, and you can easily visualize that for this, let's say if this is a service account, this has been regularly firing 8, 10, 11 different type of number of jobs at these time intervals. And the time intervals can also be customized. It can be as short as 5 seconds, 10 seconds, or maybe hourly. So you want to look at what are the number of concurrent jobs which are running on the system, as well as you can see what the time for those different jobs have been. This is the high level view where we're looking at these three different systems and the concurrency of these jobs. And folks who are familiar with the EBS concurrent request, this is the next step. This is entirely based upon the same premise where we were analyzing EBS concurrent request jobs. Now, drilling down further, you can analyze uh, by different application what the different states of those have been, and the number of requests, what the trend of jobs have been in terms of number of requests at any point of time, and what the time taken has been. So there has been a spike in this ESS job which ran for 1 day and 14 hours. And it was still running at this point of time. It will finish later on, but is this anomalous or is this expected? Is this an ad hoc job that you want to track down? Now, if it is an ad hoc job, you can drill down further into, hey, I have a long running job, and now clicking on this will tell you which users, these are the users which are running these jobs. So time series analysis is readily available over here, and a different view for the elapsed time. Elapsed time is basically for the jobs which are in the run state, and how many different types of logs that we are getting. So the number of logs. So for a job which is running for a long time, you'll get multiple log events because it continues to run. So starting from that, hey, it was scheduled and it started running, and then if it is running for more than a day or more than an hour, every 5 minutes it will say, hey, I'm still running, and the elapsed time will get updated, and we you can find out what the current uh, runtime or how long has it been running at this point of time. There is a different view of that a similar type of view, but here we are looking from a business flow point of view. These are the different business flows which are identified from those logs, and analyzing those in the context of the elapsed time. Now, idea here is not to overwhelm you with these type of complex visualization, but these visualizations and analysis are readily available, and you can pick and choose on what is most. Logging analytics, as I was saying earlier, is uh, can be used for analysis of any sort of logs, PaaS, SaaS, network, OS, and when you open the add data workflow for all the PaaS services are automatically discovered here, and you can start ingesting these logs in few clicks. So you can select, let's say, a VNIC and go to next, and we'll start collecting these unified schema log from this VNIC resource into logging analytics. And most of the services are supported. You can, if there are other PaaS services uh, which are sending logs to object storage, you can start collecting those logs from object storage also. I hope I answered that.
Apparently, there was some question around BIP or the Fusion audit events, and maybe a request for additional content within a blog. Royce made the comment that there is a blog coming forward, so be on the lookout from on our blog platform for updates to that information. And as I mentioned to somebody who reached out independently, the replay for this session will be made available in the next couple of days. It takes a little bit to clean up the audio and get that posted. But if you are registered, and all of you are because you're on the call, you will automatically get the replay once it is live.
There is a question on retention policy. So retention policy is managed by you as a customer, Avinash. As long as you want to keep the logs in active, you can keep them, or you can move them to archive. And we don't have a predefined retention policy. There are customers who are keeping the logs for audit and compliance and security purposes for more than 5 years, while keeping active logs. For OIC, those are the activity stream logs and the audit logs which are generated, which are ingested through an OIC integration, a custom integration itself. For BIP and ESS, these are collected through the REST API collection. These are the ESS request and BIP audit. Yeah, and this is an interesting topic. I can speak on it for hours also, but and I understand this is a lot of information for 45 minutes. So please feel free to reach out to myself or Catherine, and we'll be glad to help you out.
Thank you so much for this great content. With that, I can conclude this call. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks everyone for joining.